Good evening, people. Good evening. Good evening. How are you all doing this wonderful, wonderful day? Today is Wednesday. Hello, Wednesday. Yes. Doesn't it look beautiful out there? That skyline. You're looking at the beautiful Manhattan skyline. What time is it? It's probably after, brother, after 6 o'clock p.m. It is December 20, I'm sorry. Well, I'm getting everything mixed up. I'm sorry. Yes, it is December 14th, 2022. And I'm very retrospective right now. Yes, it's a Hello Wednesday. And I'm going to talk about different subjects. Hey, Nubian. Everything going well? Yes, all is well here. I'm very relaxed. Had an interesting day. That's all what I want to talk about. What my day was like today. Yes, I did get up early this morning before sunrise, and I got to go to the park as usual. And yes, it was cold out there. Yes, it started up at about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I started to sweat initially, and then when I opened up the coat a little bit, the sweat kind of got it got kind of cold. Yes, yes, my babies were with me. Yeah, so it was a good walk. Then eventually I got warmer, but I started to get cold at one point. First I was getting overheated, wearing my new coat and snow pants, and then when I opened it up a little bit, the the sweat started to get cold, and then my hands started to get cold. But it worked out for the good. I got home. I went shopping, and I got some. I was thinking about some comfort food. Yeah, so I have my Instapot, and I did like a potluck. Bought some ingredients like mushrooms. I like mushrooms. Squash. Yeah, Nubia, it's called squash, mushrooms, kale. What else? Yeah, that's about it that I could remember. And then I have seasoning at home. And I threw it all in my big pot. Oh yeah, chicken broth. And it came out wonderful. I had it cooked in the pressure cooker for about a half an hour. And also I made some dumplings. You take dough and you roll it in little balls. Yeah, it was very good. You roll it in little balls, and I had this frying pan, and I added some water to it, threw in the little round balls of dumplings, and cooked them for about a half an hour. And it was wonderful. It was actually very good. Very, very good. And the seasoning was basically salt, black pepper, um, this type of seaweed. Oh, I forget what you call it, but it's a seaweed powder. What else? Oh, no. And some turmeric, not turmeric. Oh, not rosemary. Thyme. That's right. A little bit of thyme in it. And it was and of course olive oil. It was spectacular. It was very good, easy to make. You just throw in those ingredients, and you just cook it in the pressure cooker. When it starts to get cold outside, I like warm food. Stew. I like stews and things like that. Last week I made like a chicken stew, and I cook in large batches, and I have these containers, and I put the extras in containers and put in the freezer. And so the only thing I have to do later on in the week, just defrost the food and got myself a meal. Yeah. Keep it simple, people. Keep it simple. And people who cook their own food live longer. Let me repeat. People who cook their own food, they usually live longer than the general population. Just throwing it out there, people. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, I love comfort food, warm food when it starts to get cold out there. So that's what I did earlier today. And then, as you know, I do like my videos. Yes, I do watch them. I saw, yeah, I want to tie these two stories in together. I downloaded a movie, on iTunes. Well, yeah, it's called 3,000 uh, 3,000 years of longing. 3,000 years of longing. Women, any of you women out there? Well, that's the movie to watch. In my opinion, I loved it. And it got me thinking, those of you who like to, um, who are more interested in emotion, I mean, the heart, that deep longing or that emotions, um, it had me really zero in on the different characters. I thought it was fantastic. 3,000 years of longing. And what was it about? Let's see. Was it DJT was to speak on something? Oh, okay. Oh no, I didn't hear about DJT. No, I didn't. I didn't. Okay. Oh yeah, I didn't even hear about that. Yeah. Keep me posted on that, Nubian. Keep me posted on that. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah. Sometimes people, your mind needs like a little rest from intensity, and it wants to explore. And that's what I was doing today when I was watching that movie, um, 3,000 Years of Longing. Now, I looked at the preview. Now, let me be honest with you about certain things. I mean, upfront. Let me be upfront with you about certain aspects of the movie. Now, there are certain elements of the movie I didn't agree with. That it featured what they call a jinn. In Arabic cultures, they have it's like a demon. The jinn, and they usually show the jinn, or it's also known as a genie, and they usually always have a black fellow play it. And I'm against things like that because for me, when I see that, I feel it's really um, promoting the mentality that black people are slaves. So that aspect, that is what I didn't like about it. But if you can cut through that, to just overlook that, you'll do well. Okay. Um, oh God, what's his name? Eldridge. His name is Eldridge in real life. He's uh he's from Britain, but he's of West African ancestry. And the lady, oh gosh, her name? I'm sorry. I never even heard of her before. But the chemistry between the two were actually very good. Yes. I enjoyed the chemistry between the two people. And I like the dialogue between the two. See, if you like witty talk and thought that you can really ponder on, you would like this. You'll like this. So I think an older audience, you know, I think would appreciate it. I think they'll appreciate it because it goes about. So it's supposed. Oh, okay, tomorrow. Thanks. So if you just like fast pace, just action, it's not for you. But if you're those people who of the mind, the heart, you like to think and ponder, this movie is probably for you. It had some sexual content in it, I guess, to keep your attention. Um, it wasn't it wasn't all that bad. I mean, um, it was balanced. It was a good balance. Um, it focused on this woman, this white British woman. She was an author, and she was well known, and she was doing like a tour. And during this tour, she had the tour was in, I mean, a lecture, I meant to say. She went to she was the key speaker of this lecture about stories, what makes a story. She was a narrator. And she's in the country of Turkey. And while she was there, when she gets off the plane, she uh, experiences something paranormal, a being. And then she buys this, later on she goes to this like an antique type of store in Turkey, and she purchases this glass vase, I mean, like a little bottle, I'm sorry, a little bottle. And it turns out that when she brought it home to clean it, it was a gin in a bottle. And the dialogue between them was fascinating. And so it's really, I think, well, she shares about her emotions, her feelings, things that happened in her childhood. And I thought it was really something. Now, again, so you see that you have a black gin and a white female writer, but the chemistry is pretty good. And you're taken on a journey. Oh, okay. But it looks like it's going to be, yeah, they take you on a journey, these two characters, and they share, I think it was three stories. And one of the characters that is discussed is of this woman. This story happened quite some time ago, hundreds of years ago. And so it tried to like introduce you to history that was like 2,000, 1,000 years ago, and the relationship of women and them and women and men. And it also shared the story how what happened to the jinn during this time. So one of the stories that I thought was interesting featured she was a young female Caucasian slave that's enslaved with these, I guess the ancient people of Turkey. They had sultans, they had that turban on the head, and they're Islamic. And she finds the bottle, the genie bottle, and she makes her wishes. With the genie, you make three wishes, right? If you make three wishes, this will free the genie to go out and have its freedom. And so it also teaches that, something always happened and they weren't able to make the third and final wish for him to get his freedom. But either way, he forms a relationship with this slave woman who is like a concubine of the sultan. And what I found fascinating between uh, she and the Sultan, well, she was too smart for herself. She was born during a time where women were just physical objects for men's desires. Plus, she's a slave woman. And she was able to share her intellect with the genie. It was fascinating. And I identified with that character. Um, I identified with the essence of what she was talking about, that she's not able to share her, like her invention. She invented things, and she invented things that Leonardo, the in future years, that Leonardo drew in his journals. She had them, so it's before his time. So this is going quite a whiles back, and so she wanted the ability to be able to really explore her mind and figure out formulas, scientific formulas to understand about the relationship between time, um, energy, and something else. These three elements. It was just fantastic. But the thing that really captured again was that she was more than just a pretty face, but she was not appreciated, and people didn't take her seriously because she was a woman. Have any of you ever felt that way? That let's say you're a YouTuber and you want to talk about certain things, but because of what you are, you're not really paid attention to, even though the content, what you're saying is quite interesting, but it's not received well because of who is sharing the information. And I'm sure many of you have watched videos. In fact, you have people who upload other people's content on their own, on somebody else's channel, and they get all the credit. I mean, they could literally take somebody's video who people didn't want to watch because they're not interested in the person who's delivering it, but you take that same content, upload it on your channel, and you can just say, hey folks, this is something I want to talk about, whatever, and it's a big hit. It's a big hit because they weren't able to receive the information from that other person, but they were able to receive it from somebody else. You ever feel that way? Has that ever happened to you? It's almost like a curse. It's like developing a cure for the worst disease, but because it came from you, people don't want to take it. They don't want to believe in you, but you have someone else who's a quack, and people will flock to them. It's a brainwash. It's social brainwashing. But I thought it was fascinating. And as time goes on, um, the protagonist in the movie um, returns back home, and she brings the genie home with her. And I don't know why they had to throw in certain elements there, the jealousies of her, because again, she's a progressive, what they would call a progressive white woman from Britain, and some of the biasness of her white neighbors, that you should love British culture. You're always going away to these foreign places. Well, you don't like British culture. That type of negativity. Some people are just very negative. See, they were just jealous because she was a single woman. And that was another thing that attracted me to the movie, that the protagonist of the movie is a single woman, no children, I think her husband, something happened with the husband. But she's a free thinker. She wants to explore her thoughts, her mind, and she has the luxury of being able to write books, whatever. And she likes her solitude. Those aspects are mine as well. Yeah. So a lot of things I was able to relate to the different characters, and especially having my birthday last week, makes me appreciate my getting older in life. So those of you who just want who don't want to see caustic intensities, of violence, whatever. You want to see something that is about deep thought, deep thinking, and a little history, a little tantalizing, but it's really about going beyond of just who you are, that label that we have, and you want to go beyond it, but at the same time you're vulnerable, and you're just a woman also. You're a woman. You have your vulnerabilities, but at the same time you want to be out there. So go see it. Yeah, I got it on iTunes. It's called 3,000 Years of Longing. Okay. Uh, yeah, they show different ethnicities in the movie. And I didn't like when they had King Solomon and they had a European play Solomon. So if you can swallow that, try to uh, get over that. It's quite entertaining. So I wanted to link that movie with something that I just found out yesterday. Well, again, the movie that I just saw, it featured pretty much a black and white couple, the Jin and uh, the, 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 the female author. The, you know, um, I just found out yesterday. Um, I used to live overseas for a couple of years, and I knew this couple. They were neighbors of mine, and it's really something with life, um, how our paths cross several times. But I learned that this particular individual passed away last year, and I was surprised. I met him. Let's see. Yeah, he was in his early 40s when I met him, and he passed away last year in October. He was 76 years old. That's not even that old. I don't know what he died from, um, but he was known in that community. Yeah, he was well known. But the link between that person that passed away last year that I knew overseas and that movie was the who he was in a relationship with. He was in an interracial union. Okay, he's a black fellow, and he appeared with this. I'm not sure if she's a European. She's a white woman. I don't know whether she's from directly from Europe. A very very European looking woman, and he's a black man. Um, Back when I knew the man, he was actually married to another person who I don't know whether they divorced or what, but they no longer live together. That she left, and that was a white woman from the United States. Um, I thought of the family for years. It's been 30 years since I've seen the couple. Uh, his then wife, the last communication was from my job. She had called me on my job on Halloween. Is that something? At Halloween, she called me on my job, and my uh, person calls me from the lunchroom. Hey, you got a phone call? So I go in the office, and that's her. And then she had to hurry off the phone. So she was sneaking. She was sneaking the use of the phone, and then she had to hang up. And that was the last time I've heard of her. Let's see what else. Oh no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I that's sort of maybe a year and a half later. I might have called information. I got the family's number. Yeah, that's right. But either way, they were a very interesting couple. Okay, he was a local guy, but he went to school in the United States, and she was born and raised in the United States. And when she went on vacation, she went overseas, and then they hooked up. Um, it's a very weird relationship. You ever meet people who they could be a lot of fun to be with? Now I was single back then as well, and we all got along because you're from, we lived in this state, the U.S. mainland, and we overseas. You find people who are from the U.S. mainland when they're overseas, they hook up with other people from the U.S. It's just how it works. And they were fun to be with. But, it was a lot of things popping up. You, what's really interesting, like there were clues of infidelity on his part. When I used to stay over the weekend. Yeah, I lived. We were all neighbors, and sometimes I would. Um, it must have been the weekend, I think. I stayed over the place over the weekend. It was really laid back. It was just fun. I never felt threatened or anything like that at that time. I felt like a kid, like a bunch of teenagers, sharing a big room or something. It was really neat. Um, and they also, there was a child, he had a child from a prior relationship. She was a teenager at the time. And yeah, we were really close. But there were signs of infidelity, not on my part. One day, like we just lounging around, and the wife is taking this plastic bag it had clothes, and I think she was going to put away the clothes. And when she's taking out the clothes from the plastic bag, she sees that there's some women's stuff in it. So I naively said, I was very young. This was like 30 plus years ago, okay? And she sees pantyhose. So I just said, oh, it must have just got mixed in the wash. Then she says angrily, I didn't send it to the wash yet. And I just kind of look kind of stupid. And it dawns on me what's actually happening. I said, oh my goodness. Yeah, what she's getting at, the clothes are in the bag, but the clothes weren't sent out to the laundry and back. It never left the house. So how did lingerie, some lady stuff, get in there? So I remember her shoving this stuff back in. She was angry. Yeah. Now this couple, they were a Christian family. And I remember the wife telling me how they, when they met, and he had said something of something spiritual sounding, and when he held her, this feeling came over her, like the Holy Ghost or whatever. And it's kind of funny when I think about it now, because this person uh, had habits, and one of them was not spirituality. But again, you can have people. What I'm learning, see, you can have people. See, all types of people, and people are multifaceted. People are multifaceted. Now, they were fun to be with. These were the type of people that you buddy with. It's always, it's just excitement, just fun. They're great company. Um, but people have other sides to them. And his was, his, you know, insecurities, certain insecurities. He was a controller. This person was a controller. I would later find out. But when I first met them, I actually met them in church. It's really weird that it was destined for us to meet. Yeah, this was overseas, and I I was invited to this particular church with this person I met from my other church. I was new at this location, and so I accompanied this new acquaintance. And then we were leaving. There was this couple, and it turned out to be that couple that I would be neighbors with months down the road. See, it was inevitable that we would meet, and it seemed like a cool, a cool couple. She was from the U.S. and he's from, uh, that particular place we were living at. And even though they were of different races, one black, one white, but they seem compatible. They seem to be they got along. They just, it's just something that, I don't know. It's just so that you don't really, some people, you could be the same race, but people will be staring at you. You know what I mean? Some people, you look at them, it's just, their energy signature matches. And I would say that more that his energy matched more of hers. So, so I actually met them at this church service, and then a couple of months down the road, I would be their neighbor. Yeah, it was a weird location. There were 3 homes on a hill, and I was in one of the homes, and I was sharing that house with 2 other women, young women. Um, it would be a fiasco, but things happen for a reason. So either way, now this couple lived in one of the houses, and I was introduced to them, and there was also a church on that hill also, and that was the focal point for me and that new couple. This church affiliation. They didn't attend the church, but they all knew each other because they live on the same hill. Um, and then I started, I would be invited over. We have dinner together. I was more of the wife's friend, since it was me and her doing most of the talking, and we both from, you know, the East Coast. Uh, yeah, there were things starting to develop. See, even though they were legally married, the person had a prior relationship, and it turned out that from the prior relationship, he had many children with her, but they were never married. And I would learn that there was a lot of pain involved. That the lady, Yeah, there was jealousy because he never married her, but yet he married this other woman. They were both Caucasian women. Yeah, they were both from the U.S. mainland, and yeah, the old girlfriend, they didn't like, she didn't like the new wife. Um, yeah, a lot of pain was involved. Yeah, when what happens in relationships, like men, if you don't have, it's not a good idea to have all these children with a woman and you never marry her, but then you leave her and actually marry somebody else, and then you wait many, many years to have children with the actual wife. It was just weird. Yeah, there was a lot of violence on that place where I used to live. A lot of violence. There was a rape that occurred. Um, Horrible. Um, and one of the people that I know, rather than going to, it was really something. The minister that lived on that hill, well, one of the people on that hill had gotten raped, and she had escaped. Eventually, she had untied herself and ran out for help. And the church people, the guy in charge. Oh, don't get angry! Don't get angry! You got to pray right now and for forgiveness. You wouldn't believe that. I I couldn't believe it when the victim told me the story. But it turned out that that minister, that so-called minister, uh, had left the U.S. mainland because of sexual infidelity. I mean, he was messing around with a teenager. Hello, people. Hello. Yeah, this also taught me things that, people might have, be against certain things because it hits close to home, people. And he did the same thing on that new place, that new location. Yep. Yeah, that place really was an eye opener. It showed me a lot of things. Yeah, it was just like one tragedy after another. And the woman in quite the first girlfriend there tragically dies horribly in a fire, and the fire was started by someone close to her, and it was classified in the newspaper as a murder, arson murder of three people. It was quite sad. It was like everything tied to that family was death, extreme violence. Yeah, I eventually had to leave that place. Oh yeah, but again, how they switched. Now, this particular man who he had a gift of women. Yeah, and it turned out that I had met his very, very first, I think it was actually the very, very first girlfriend he ever had. Turns out, we were we were co-workers. And one day she drove me home, and pop goes this guy in question. He like stood up with his arms spread out in the middle of the road, of the hill, at clowning around. And then I get out the car, thank my friend, and then the next day she explains that she knows that guy and told me the story about them. They were her first love, and that he didn't approve of her getting an automobile. He refused for her to learn how to drive a car and to buy a car. Some places, they don't like women to be independent. So it was that they knew each other. And it just seemed like, how is it possible that I'm meeting people who know one another and in a very intimate way? Yeah, so that was his very first love. And then he met up with this other person. They had many, many children. And then at some point, he meets the third woman. And after many, many years of marriage with her, did she eventually conceive? And not too long after she conceived, uh, she had to leave him because, yeah, reports the man was uh, flirting with other women. But it's really something that he seemed like on the outside a really nice guy. It's one of those guys that he gets along with everybody. But then something stupid would happen and he would make a pass at certain women. Women that are known. I mean, I just think it's so dangerous to make a pass at somebody's daughter. Father would kick you, his behind. Yeah, but it's like I think with some men, it's a weakness. It's like something drives them to be foolish. But other than that, they seem like really nice people. So again, his wife eventually leaves, goes back to the mainland, and um, over a decade later, he meets up with his final woman. And I was just so happy yesterday. I was thinking about a mutual, someone that we all know. I was thinking of her, this person. And when I Googled her name, the story, several stories popped up, and also showed about that man that I knew, and that he had passed away. Yeah, when you Google things like certain names, anytime a name is associated with this particular, with a person, all that information pops up on the screen, you know. So I was surprised. And on the bottom of the obituary, they gave the name of the person that he was living with. And so I Googled that person's name, and that's when I found her name on the Facebook. And it had his face on it too. Yeah, so the two did know each other. Um, I don't know why I just assumed that he'll be, just single after his wife left. I don't know why I felt that way, but they had a long lasting relationship, and I mean, it's been so many, almost 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago since I had last seen them, and to see him with a new woman. They were not married, his last woman, and you see him dancing, you see him, excuse me, my eye. You see him with other people, and he like you think he's like the buddy of the neighborhood. People, what it showed me, that there are many sides to people, and that people could have a persona. They have a gift of persona, and my impression is that she had all the money. Yeah, that was one thing else. he did not have money. Um, yeah, he because he had to pay child support to all his kids from his prior relationship. Um, I'm sure he had to pay something with the his former wife. Um, yeah, so he was. They were always broke, and so now you see him uh, in a nice environment, nice, you know. I mean, on this place, it's not, it's not, it's the people there are modest income. It's not a wealthy place, but you do have some people with money. See, there's money and there's prestige. So he hooked up with something, a higher grade uh, than his pocket. It was very, very interesting to see, and yet he looks older, um, and so you just see him. Um, it was just very bizarre, and I look at her and say, I know you. Sometimes, we could. I mean, they did a very nice obituary on him, um, but it's something. See, sometimes you know you might see something, but sometimes people know who you really are. And no, I would not say who this person is. I'm sorry that he passed away. I mean, I knew this person. I stayed in him and his wife's home. I babysitted his kid. I knew them, and it was a tragic. It was a very like bad separation, and then tragedy happened in that. Um, so 30 years fast forward to see him on video, to see him with the new person, and how. Oh yeah, the relate to tie in that movie that I was telling you, the 3,000 Years of Longing. That couple looked and remind me of in that movie how you can have a middle-aged woman, a white woman, and then you have a your black counterpart male, and how you just somehow just you look picture perfect. You go out that you know how to hold your fork and knife. You could meet up with the neighbors, and you all seem to get along. Yeah, even though he was born at that particular place, the person I met 30 plus years ago, yeah, he wasn't really associated with the locals there, the real locals. He seemed to fit better with the people from the U.S. mainland. Yeah, yeah. It seems like when you're from a place and you get educated in the U.S. mainland, and you go back home, you don't seem to fit with the local population. Anybody ever experienced that? You ever move abroad, or you were born in one place but you went to school somewhere else? You don't you change. You actually change it because see your brain is being um, programmed. We all are programmed, and your environment is what changes you. And so I think with this movie, it's showing that they come from different worlds, but they discovered together that they had something in common. And that was the need to belong. The lady, all her life, she was a loner, but at the same time, she wanted to share her intimate thoughts with somebody. And the genie of the bottle, he longed, through his thousands of years, the women that he met, he never was able to keep them because they failed to make that third wish so that he could actually be free. And I guess in his freedom, if he chose to stay, he had that prerogative. So he wanted that also. So even though on the surface they look different, and at one point in their history, the current history, there might have been some opposition. But a peace offering was actually made at the very end of the movie with her nosy neighbors. She shares with them this treat. She says, "Oh, this is such and such, such and such." And then the man, the genie, walks behind her, and he was wearing this dramatic looking hoodie. It looked nice on him, and he was looking buff. And the two elderly ladies, white ladies, were kind of like drooling over over him. They liked him, and then she leaves. So it showed a progression of her, what she wanted in life, and that she was willing to deal with the opposition, her neighbors, and that only occurred at the very end of the movie. I think actually the two neighbors, um, was really about almost like a demon, so to speak. Those things that just trying to kind of haunt you and harass you, and when she faced it and used wisdom and tried to make a truce, it worked for her. So I wonder whether with the people who I knew 30 years ago, whether he made a truce. Yeah, they I mean, that was the longest. I mean, they were together for many, many years. His final love. And I looked at some of the comments in the Facebook, and yeah, her peers seemed to really like him, and yeah, he was well liked. So I'm wondering, after his wife had left him, I wondered, did he come to truce with his demons of um, infidelity, what may have been infidelity, or at least making passes at women. I wondered, did all that trauma, did it did it mature him? Because here he stayed for over a decade with this the last woman, and they looked like they were a very, very happy couple. Yeah. So yeah, that's just tying in the two stories, the movie and the person that I know. Yeah, yeah, he was someone who I knew very, very well, uh, knowing a lot about him, and I don't think he knew that I knew. Um, but may he rest in peace. Yeah, he was liked by a lot of people, but I'm sure there's also those quiet, the quiet majority, right? Yeah, may he rest in peace, and may he have come to terms with his life. Yeah, and may that his last partner, may she be at peace also, to have someone in your life and then they're no longer there. Again, I don't know what the individual died from. He was a very, very active man into sports and everything, very, very active socially and everything. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but may his friends, his family, condolence to them all. Yeah, yeah. It was a journey with them, boy. Yeah, they were something that person. Wow. Yeah. Never met someone quite like them before. Never. Yeah. May they all be at peace. Yeah. So what else did I want to talk about, people? There was some interesting. Oh, what was that now? There was something else I wanted to talk to you about. Something with the news. What did I want to talk about now? Oh, I know there was something. There was some news thing. It was really interesting. Um, hmm. Oh, that there's some news about. So they I don't think they gave the name of the country, but they did you hear about they're making these smart cities that you can only drive maximum 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes away from your dwelling, and you need special permission to leave your zone. They said they're going to try to implement it in 2 years. So not next year, not 2023, but 2024. So it sounds like this new Brave New World situation is being promoted. So yeah, there's a system out there that's trying to dominate. But my question is with this, people, who is passing these laws? It's like out of thin air, oh, let's implement such and such. Who's voting these people? Who's approving these laws? They said it's to save the planet. Oh, please! It's really weird. These you know what could be done. What I'm thinking about. I mean, when I hear things, foolishness like this oppression that they want to put on us, to collectively like a focused attention, like in unison, people focus to have this oppression stop. That you put in, like if you speak it, to speak it into existence. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, it's like we sit back and we let X, Y, and Z say, okay, we're going to do this or that to you, or pass these laws against you. Can't we collectively just say no and speak words into existence to have them be removed? That's what I'm thinking. So, enough is enough. Get out. Get out. Get out of here. It's ridiculous. We have to speak up in some way. Say enough is enough. Oh, there was something else I want to talk about. You know what else was being shared? This YouTuber shared it. Yeah, this is definitely a brave new world. They shared a video that they're implementing. When they say that they're going to implement or they want to implement, I feel that just means that they've already done it. They have these birthing pods that they said, let's say that a lady lost her uterus and she can't conceive. Well, she and her husband could grow their baby in an artificial womb, and it could be monitored and this and that, and they can have up to, I think, 40, deliver 40,000 babies per facility. 40,000, I think, for the year. Wow. Yeah, and they mentioned different nations, like Japan. I remember Japan. Now, Japan has a lot of people, but it was like three or four countries that they mentioned by name, using them as example that they're going to need uh, help in having babies. And I thought this was foolish. They don't have any problem conceive. They have it's very populated, Japan. So I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, I was surprised at the nations that they mentioned. I just remembered Japan. Now, what do you think this is all about, people? To have yeah, see, they want us to be more and more removed from being human. You have a man and a woman, and they want a baby. They're going to push it to a point that you can't have a natural baby. And I think that's what they're really getting at. They're going to put laws and regulation who can get pregnant, how many children you can have. And it has to be monitored by the government and these birthing facilities. And it looked more and more like the movie The Matrix. You also, many of you have seen the movie The Matrix. Remember when Neo woke up from that pod and all around him were babies in those pods? Well, what if they say, for now on, everybody's going to be born in a pod, but what if that's the trap, people? What if that is the trap? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you don't get stretch marks, ladies. You can have your baby in the pod. Well, what if the government says, well, you can't see your baby. You can't visit the baby in the pod anymore. Oh, you have the social scores. You lost your social scores. You can't see. We're going to penalize you, so you can't see your baby anymore, right? Can't they then, if you could feed the baby, I mean, if that machine can feed the baby, can that machine also take the nutrients from the baby too? In and out. And that's what I'm thinking. They're setting you up. How the hell are you going to get somebody in those pods, like in the movie The Matrix? How do you get them in there? Well, you trick the people. Oh, have your baby here at our facility. And they say, okay. And then you have to sign a contract, right? You have to sign a contract. And then, boom, you can't see your child anymore. Well, you just signed away the baby. It belongs to the state. Well, can the state then say, this is our baby? Can they then do all these experiments or make excuses, and it could be used to feed something else? That's what I'm just thinking right now. Yeah, this is very frightening. They want to create an artificial world for us to be in. Yeah, you cannot leave your city. They're introducing these birthing centers. What else? Yeah, they don't want you to be people anymore. They want you glued to a monitor. We're always looking at a monitor. Very few. I mean, I have to include myself in that too. Just like I have a monitor in my hand, and we're always looking at it, and you won't know the difference from you looking at the monitor and, let's say, the baby in the pod. They could put a monitor in the pod, right? Babies can open up their eyes in the womb, right? Where they could start programming the baby in the womb, in that artificial womb, and have them be programmed about what? Yeah, this is really something. It's almost frightening. Yeah, I watched this movie some years ago. It's called Ghost in a Shell. It's actually a pretty good movie. I had to watch it several times. Ghost in a Shell. And in short, what it's about, that this was a futuristic movie, and the government was, people had to live uh, like in large ghettos. And this took place in Asia, in Japan. And then the youth of this district, uh, you had runaways, and they were uh, contra, they were against the government. And then one day the government came in and took those teens, and then they killed them. But before they killed them, they took the brain away and put the human brain, in a robot. You heard me. And these robots were then, the brain of the robot was brainwashed, given amnesia, and they put in a false memory in to explain how they got there. And their essence, they became slaves of the police force. I mean, it's a pretty good movie. Don't you think this is where it's really going to trick? You have to somehow trick humanity into those pods, into this fake world. Oh, that reminds me of Elon, Elon Musk, the the guy that has the Tesla car, and then he recently purchased Twitter. I'm hearing different things about him, and some Christian circles suggest, is sharing information, uh, but they have not presented any proof. So someone alleges that they were his babysitter, and that that's all I say. Because if something's not true, I don't want to put out there if something's not true. But someone allegedly, was his babysitter, and some things that they observed, and something about his mother's affiliation. But either way, you have a man who, they said that he's the richest man. I'm relatively new with Elon Musk. And I didn't even know what his name was. I mean, I didn't understand his name. I didn't realize that was somebody's name. I'd never heard any of those names before. So it's just maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I think I actually realized who he was. But they mentioned that he's one of the richest, or if not the richest person. So what did he make money off of? I heard that he he started, or he was at least the CEO of PayPal, and then he did what was that, the Tesla, and now he's doing something, the Neuralink. He wants to invent things that eventually are implantables in the brain, to hook the human brain, into a computer. Isn't that something, folks? Isn't that something? So some people in the Christian community are worried about that, because they wonder whether that's the mark of the beast. Why would somebody, I mean, don't you ask yourself, why would you want your consciousness in a computer? Isn't that like, in essence, the genie in the bottle? You're at the mercy of that programmer, right? You're going to be at the mercy of that programmer because you can't really, I mean, your consciousness will serve as the, what's that, the operating system. And how would you manipulate and interact with the hardware of that computer, right? I feel it's an entrapment. That's what I think. That is that that computer would be what they call a simulation, and your mind is pretty much infinite, but it's going to be enclosed in that hardware called the computer. And I think that is a frightening thought. But I did hear a couple of years ago, it was before the C-19, as I call it, that there was a young person that uh, had a terminal disease, and it was on the news, and they said that they offered to put the person's consciousness in a computer. I mean, has anybody heard that? It was just not too long ago. It was before C-19. Well, people, when people are talking about something, it's already being done. Why are they doing these things so fast now? You notice? The past 2.5 years, past 3 years, they're working overtime towards something. They are rushing. What are they racing for? What? It's like in the military. Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. Where are you going? Where are we going? Well, remember last year, the Space Force? The prior administration said that they have implemented the Space Force. Are they going to get a handful of us to escape this planet and let hell break loose here on this planet? Why the rush? Why would you want to leave this planet and live in some planet that you can't really breathe in the air? I mean, would you want to live in something like that? You can't go outside. You forever in some underground city. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. Our bodies and our mind is adapted to this environment. For you to live in some funky planet, you have to do something to be able to adapt to the gravity, adapt to the atmosphere, the air situation. I wouldn't want it. Uh-uh. No, I don't want it. Any of you want to be in something like that? Would you want to live on another planet? Would you want to live in an underground? You might as well live in the subway. Come to New York City, you go live in our subways. It looks horrible. I know I wouldn't want that for myself. But people, why the urgency of all these different factors? So first you had that pandemic, right? And I think they said 65 million people died. And then what else? This caused a lot of jobs, so people are unemployed. So you have poverty. What else? So what happens when you got a disease, and then people don't have a job? Well, you're going to get violence. Let me just my eye. Wait a minute. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, you're gonna have violent people. What do people do when they're scared? They become violent. They become impulsive. And maybe some of those people will be willing to get their brain in a computer. What do you call it? Their consciousness in a computer, right? And then some people will say, "Hey, I want to go to another planet." So maybe they're going to put a lot of pressure on. I'm just speculating this that they like when you're cornered, like an animal, when you're cornered, uh, there's only a few options, right? And they're going to present these options. You get the if you don't do the jab jab, we're going to put you in a camp. We're going to put some your brain in a your consciousness in a computer, or maybe you can voluntarily put your brain in a your mind in a computer, and you can get to choose what type of avatar you have in this computer simulation. Maybe those of you who have some money say, oh, hey, I want to have this outfit, or I want to have multiple girlfriends or multiple boyfriends, whatever I want to, right? It's all to take away your will. They want you to take, I get the impression they want to take away our will in this panic. But what I can say is, don't do it. And I tell that to myself too. Don't do it. Try not panicking. Take deep breaths. They want you to give away your will. They want you, people, to give over your will. I think you're better off them just, to see. There's a. I was told that there's what they call like this council that they cannot take away your free will, but they try to panic you for you to give over your free will. But the law of the universe says that they're not supposed to impose on your free will, but they can try to frighten you. Well, don't do it. If that's the case, don't do it. You say, look, you want it, you take it from me. Yeah, this is such peculiar times. Yeah, you have all these people. This Elon Musk just came out of nowhere, it seems. And I wonder, is he going to replace what's his name? The guy from Microsoft. What's his name? Gates. Bill Gates. Yeah, he's been in the public now for like 30 plus years, 35 years. So I wonder, is this Elon, really coming about to replace this other guy? It's interesting. It's really interesting. Yeah, when was it Bill Gates came out 35 plus years ago? Didn't he seem like a real nice guy, right? I remember when he came out. I remember him in the what was that? In the early '90s, and he was upgrading his what you call operating system, and it was supposed to be a big thing, and that he was the youngest something. Yeah, they really worshiped that guy. He was deemed as the really nice guy, right? Now look at him. Now look at him. It's like they invent something. You have people who invent these things. he didn't actually invent certain things, but he got credited and he monopolized his operating system. And then he's called a genius, right? And then he gets the population addicted to these computers. And then it's an addiction. And now they're forming a dependence on it. Everything is with these computers. Even to use the subway, you have to swipe. You can swipe now your wallet. It takes your money. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm not liking it because I feel that it's leaving you without your actual money. They're introducing this digital system. Now I do use my debit card for everything. I do. Um, but they have these machines, these like at the turnstile. I'm just not feeling it. I just don't. I just don't feel as much empowered. Um, but yeah, it's like we're becoming so dependent on these computers, uh, and they assume everybody have a smartphone. Oh, I heard on a commercial while watching on YouTube that the government if you on welfare and this is welfare and Medicaid, that the government will give you a free smartphone, a free one. Why is that? Why can't you just give them a regular payphone? I mean, not a what do you call it, a regular cell phone, not a smartphone. I think they want you to, tracking something with these smartphones. Something I heard about these phones, these smartphones. It's not sitting right with me. The government does not care. Sorry. I don't think the government cares that you are able to talk to someone. Why don't they have a lot of, the pay phones outside? You notice they don't have any more of those coin machines, the pay phone that you put a quarter in? They've all been removed. But they put up this, I don't know, it's a computer with this, oh, I don't know how to I don't know what you call it. I mean, it allows you to do a 911 or call information or surf the net for information. They're really there too. There's a camera inside of it. They're cameras. Yeah, one time I tried to make a phone call, a 911 phone call, and I couldn't get through. It would drop the call. Stay over there. My little doggy went. Sorry, my little doggy just jumped off the bed. You okay, baby? Okay, had to drink water. Yeah, my dogs are thirsty. Yeah, the air is very, very dry. And now I have to keep water in my room for myself. Yeah, do you notice that you wake up with an extremely dry mouth? Any of you have ever experienced or experienced this thing? It started a year ago, actually. Yeah, it's affecting me and my dog. So my dog is still drinking water right now. Yeah, start noticing that. So anyway, yeah. So now they want to make sure that the poor have the same access with these phones, these smartphones. They don't need smartphones. You could just hand them what do you call it, a regular phone. But it's something that these smartphones have. And whatever what that component is, I don't think it's beneficial. I don't think it's beneficial. It's just very spooky. Yeah. Oh, so that's basic what's going on here. Yeah, I just wanted to share with you some of my thoughts, things that I did today, the stew that I made. Yeah, start making your own food, people. Yeah, make some of your, nice stews. If you live in a cold place like New York, something like that. Start making some nice savory food for you and your family. Yeah. And I think people who cook their own food, who do their own food, live longer than those who eat out. Start noticing. Yep. I had an ancestor, and she lived, she was my great great aunt, and she was 107 years old. She died in the 1970s. And yeah, she was from the islands, and she lived a long time. And but you find people who eat at those fast food places, they're real obese, and they die younger. I mean, anybody can die at any age, people. But yeah, my mother is 93. She'll be 94 in about 3 more months. I hope she makes it. Yeah. And my mother, I mean, yes, on occasion she might eat something outside, when she to go outside. But she cooks her own food. Start cooking your own food, people. Put some love in your food. Yeah, and I think your body will appreciate it. And give thanks, um, when I eat, I do give my thanks over my food. Yeah, I do that. And I do that because also it's speaking energy and intent onto that food. Yeah. It's like you programming that food to resonate in your body, you know, to bring goodwill into your body. That's what I do, especially when I drink my water early in the morning. Yeah, I have my bottled water right next to me. And when I wake up, I drink a liter of water. I speak wellness onto the water before I drink it. Yeah. And what else did I talk about? I talked about that movie, 3,000 Years of Longing, and how I paired that with that movie, with this person I knew from overseas, and the relationship between the interracial couple, and how they, even though they stood out physically, different, they were very different, they come from different worlds, but yet they had something in common that united them. And maybe that's what life is all about, to find what unites us so that we can have a bright future. Yeah. And then I mentioned about the babies, the pods, the babies in the pods. That is this news report discussed that they want to make you think that they're giving you a favor if you become sterile, whatever. Well, you can just grow your baby, you and your husband's baby in a pod. But what if you no longer have any rights over that baby and it's taken from you, right? So these are just some of the things that I talked about. And I hope you enjoyed this content. Let me know if you have any questions, or you can share your comments below. Let me know what you think. I thank you for listening and watching this live stream. Until next time, okay? Peace, love, and joy to you all. I thank you. Have a great evening. Bye bye.